Where's my phone? I left my phone upstairs. I think. No. So sorry, check my phone because you sent me something.
Yeah, my phone's in another room. I don't have it near me.
Mm.
But
where'd it go? I haven't moved.
Brent is aware of Iron Mouse. So I thought it was funny because the whole video she watched about the Charizard, and that's all she took from that video. She's like, "What?" She just go back and look at the gas station. Come and go. It's like, "Come and go. What the fuck is that?"
Come on, go.
Commando.
That was the whole thing she pulled from that video she was watching about some guy buying a Charizard thing.
From the come and go. They sell Pokemon cards?
And who doesn't at this point? There's a fucking Pokemon station at every Kroger.
Everybody wants to come and go.
I saw the videos of Costco like pre-packing the buggies and just lining them up by the door. Come in, scan your card, go. No, you would come in, scan your card, and the buggy was ready to go. You just took it to the checkout with the whatever the newest Pokemon cards were. And GameStop was laying into them on the social medias.
See, they're selling them used, man.
What's crazy? I don't know if y'all have ever. Oh, whoops! I don't know if y'all have ever seen these. I was getting ready for a work-related trip. And I stopped at a
come and go
grocery store retailer to pick up some items that I forgot to pack real quick.
Could it have been Publix or could it have been the Crojets?
Yeah, been K. Roger.
K. Rogers, Cincinnati based.
I walked in, and in the little like foyer area where they have the carts, there was a vending machine for Pokemon cards.
I've not seen a K. Roger with one of these type establishments.
It may be in a bridge of stocks.
Ooh. That must be a very specific one because I'm in the other one located in that vicinity quite frequently.
Yep, there it is. I'm going to send that
took a picture of it
to y'all. Yeah, I took a picture of it. I'm going to send it to y'all so you can see. Because I was like, what the heck? And what was funny is we were looking at it. And of course, Pokemon cards they're pricey. But
are they? I don't know. Last time I bought a pack of Pokemon cards.
They
can be
certain
pricey.
Packs can be pricey. And we were like, man, I don't know who's coming in here, and rather than actually buying groceries, they're spending all their money at the vending machine here at the Pokemon stuff.
Brent's like, it's me. Let me step right up.
As we were walking out, we saw a young woman spending, I think her cart was at least $400.
So she got milk and eggs?
No, at the Pokemon thing. But yes, maybe she got the Execute and there's something.
Executor?
Miltank.
What is Miltank? That sounds erotic.
Miltank. It was Gen 2, gold and silver.
Yeah, that's the one I was telling you about.
That is cool as hell.
Yeah, it's in the Kroger, right? It's in every Kroger now. Yeah.
I don't have it in mine.
I about to say I hadn't seen it in my Kroger near me.
I've seen them
in my establishment.
Lake City. I've seen them in several.
But it is actually really cool. It's a full-on Pokemon vending machine.
So the pack is like $4.50.
Lake City, I think
it varies per pack.
And then
it depends on the pack. It depends on there's other items.
The one not the one near you probably, but the one further down the street in Hudson Bridge has one. So as soon as you go in there, it's right by the bathroom area.
That might
I've seen
be
it in
the one
several.
we're giving a picture of. Potentially. May or may not have been provided a picture of.
Yeah, if you go in the one in Stockbridge, there's one right at the exit as soon as you leave the location.
That's the one I took a picture of.
Yeah.
Of the 1.3/8.
Lake City, I think
digits.
Lake
by
City
the college.
The Lake City one is right by the DMV tag machine. There's several of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's several of them.
Interesting.
Right, but Keith, that one is close enough to be close enough, you know?
Right.
That's also where me and Cesar's Popeyes is at. Was at.
I was about to say that has moved locations.
Oh, it's not there anymore?
The Popeyes that was in front of
Yeah.
that establishment is not there.
Oh.
In the,
Where did it go? Or
where
did they
the
just close
cookout,
that one?
you know where the cookout and all that
Yeah.
is? If you go past that before you get, it's literally right next to that giant car wash that's right there.
I gotcha.
I can't remember.
Not Waterworks Car
Title Wash. Title Max.
Get your title back with Title Wash Car Wash.
Yep.
My skin's dry this cold weather. I guess back in fourth weather is
Warm weather.
it's
It
hot.
was like 72
It's hot
today.
now. A friend of the show, Buish, mentioned to me he appreciates the episode number being on the stream. So
We do it for him, you know.
if I
that.
forget, y'all just remind me to keep
Just
up
for
with
him.
that. Yeah, it's all for Buish.
Just for him.
Yep, it's all for Wish. Yep.
And it's
That-
on. It's on every single YouTube. I don't have to go in there and edit the
Ooh,
YouTube
Buish.
video.
That and
Ooh,
we always,
Buish.
that and whenever we choose Super Husky, capture the flag. It's always for Wish.
We got our shit kicked in last time.
That's
It wasn't very competitive.
that's give and take. Brand can confirm. It's
My higher
some
subscription
matches are
tier.
Great. Some
We were,
some
Wish
are
says
great,
only
some
for
are
him.
real bad.
Only for him.
yeah. We were in love with Husky, and then
Then you played with me.
we had a small falling out.
I ruined it for you. Premium level subscription. This is Wish.
You're in that premium subscription tier. The harder difficulties.
Oh man, that was a good time though. All right, you guys ready? Do I have
Let's go.
everything?
As Brink listens to the Devil May Cry opening theme song over and over again.
Why wouldn't he? Brandon added one news story. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes, I did.
Let's do this thing.
Super Mario Bros. 2, presented by the Mario's staff.
The Mario staff.
The Mario's
Is that in your
staff.
credits?
Apostrophe S.
Yeah, the Mario
Right there.
staff.
The Mario's staff. His staff is presenting.
I'm just thinking of that late 80s Nintendo picture of them all crowded around the TV smoking. They're chain smoking. They're developing Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World. Famous Miyamoto photo. People are having trouble hearing you? I don't think that's... Y'all don't have any trouble hearing me, right?
I
What?
don't see any
Huh?
indication from anybody saying that.
Oh! It's that window. It's
Uh-huh.
like the Skype Windows notification. Like, move closer to the mic. People get
Don't
trouble.
listen to
People
that.
are having trouble hearing you. I don't...
I just ignore it.
Yeah, I have to.
I've never actually addressed any of that
I just hit X. I X'd out.
because I'm 90% certain somebody would say something to you. So
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 335 of the NOFODcast. We are No Outside, Food or Drink, Southeast premier video game and come and go podcast. Come here for all your video game needs and your gas station convenience store pickups, including Pokemon cards.
gas station of the Midwest and the South specifically.
Yeah, of course, that's what I was referencing. Much
Yeah.
like Quick Trip or Bucky's.
Or stop by in the Jack in the Box on the way to a come and go.
Yes, please. My two
Jack in the Box and come and
my
go.
two favorite
Mhm.
things and my two favorite places to pick up Pokemon cards. And the K Roger now, Brand informed us,
Okay, Roger.
deals the cards of the Pokemons. Tonight's news: Ubisoft layoffs, official PlayStation leadership? Question mark. Another classic on GOG. That's good old games, people. GOG. What have you gogged on recently? Xbox franchise zooms onto PS5. And we have your PlayStation, February PlayStation Essential Games. I'm one of your hosts, Richard Bergman. The last place I bought a pack of Pokemon cards was Media Play. Joined tonight by Newsmaster Brant McKee. Brant McKee, when's the last time you bought a pack of Pokemon cards and where was it? Was it a come and go?
Oh,
Come on to go.
no, it was probably a card shop.
An actual card shop.
Although,
Going straight to the source.
I've got digital Pokemon cards right
Oh,
here.
are you playing? Are you
Pokemon Pocket.
dabbling in the... Is that the new
Pokemon
TCG?
Yes, I just downloaded
Ooh.
it the other day.
Do we need to
so-
fire this up with you somehow?
I mean, it's kind of like a pared down, simpler version of the card game, and it's this app is meant more to cater toward like the collecting, trading. They just added trading actually, and like focus more on like the card art and stuff like that. But you still can battle and all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, if you're into it, go for it.
Bush wants us to go to Black Friday deals and pick up Pokemon cards. That's what he's putting in the chat.
Black Friday deals.
Also here, our resident lore master and page master, Cesar Concepcion II. Cesar, welcome.
Hello.
Cesar, where is the last place you may or may not have purchased a pack of Pokemon cards?
Never purchased one.
You've never bought a pack of Pokemon
Never?
cards? Okay, you've avoided it to this point.
Unless it came packed in with maybe a Pokemon game, that's a possibility, and it was probably a single card. But I think the only pack of cards I purchased were probably Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So that's it.
No Toys R Us giveaways or electronics boutique giveaways back in the day?
Was never my thing. I never spent $1 on Pokemon cards ever. So I can promise you that.
Brother got into this. My brother and I did, and like Buish and I have shared. We never really played the game. We just kind of collected them and like battled them, almost like a war type thing. Like we know this Pokemon's beating the other one. We didn't actually stack all those color tokens and things on top of each other and do magic attacks and shit. That
it was several years before I actually learned how to play.
is it fun to actually play by those?
Yeah.
Did the game help you? Did you play the TCG game?
No, I did not. It was something that my son was collecting at the time, and it's like cool. His grandmother, of all people, started looking at this, and he said he wanted to learn how to play, and she started reading about it and saw that it was involved, reading and math and that stuff. Right. And he was like, she just said okay, and she bought both of them, like one of those packs that has like 2 basic decks in it, and they started playing. And then his journey into that, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I know a person that locally owned a game store. They do all sorts of stuff, including Pokemon, and at the time they had a decent gathering of people, so we went and we got very involved in that. And at one point I even became a certified Pokemon professor.
Holy shit.
And
man, this lore is deep. This thing's taking a turn.
Like taught kids, and we'd sit there and play. Sometimes we would go and travel and do like pre-releases or little tournaments.
Holy
and things
shit.
Like that.
Where's this knowledge been? I don't even know you anymore. Holy shit. Have you ever played the game? Brant's like, hold my beer. let me tell you about this game I've played. Renee in the chat says he's never purchased Pokemon cards either. Told you my last time was Media Play, so that'll tell you. And I got a Charizard. I got a holographic
Media Play
Charizard from Media Play back in the day. What's that?
Really? A holographic Charizard from Media
What does that
Play?
even mean? What the fuck does that mean?
It's not one of the shadowless ones. It's not one of the like now I can retire because of this Pokemon cards.
Explain it to me in NBA terms.
I pulled a Wimby out of the pack, but it's not an autographed one with a piece of jersey on it. It's just the regular Wimby, but it's still better than most of the cards.
That actually is a pretty good explanation for me.
All right. I see there's a big market now for people just like live streaming themselves opening cards. I guess it's like a loot box thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of VTubers do that too.
Why are we not doing that? It pays for itself, right? Do you just sell a subscription for like people to view the cam show or whatever it is?
I mean, they typically get paid by a corporation, and then
so people like shipping them the cards or sponsorships or whatever.
Yeah, because they typically have to get approved to do certain streams for certain games and certain things. So
that's the one I have, Brant. So
one of those.
Cesar, when I said shadowless, like if you look on the side of Brant, if you'll hold the card back up again, Brant.
I need you NBA turns.
Buddy. Yeah, Brant's holding a holographic Charizard up. If you look on it's the right side of the card as we're looking at it. There's that shadow on the border.
Yeah, you see that.
The shadowless one is like the super. Those are the people that they're paying off their homes with the Charizard card. But I have what Brant is showing. Brant, did you have that from back in the day, or did you purchase it somewhere? That got pulled out of a Media Play pack. I can remember opening the pack
Yeah.
of cards in the dark. You have 2 of them. Holy shit. In the dark and like leaning my cards towards the light from the street light in the van and seeing which cards I got.
I had to eventually reassemble my collection.
Not Johnny 5.
And I may have to tell you about that someday, Richard.
I'm waiting to hear the story. I'm assuming it's off show. It's an off show tale.
Yeah, probably.
We'll go with that. That's fine. I like the off show tales. Let's get into some of this news before we dive into more Pokemon lore, because that was a door that got flung open by Brant McKee, and he just straight dashed through it.
You asked.
Gonna go. I mean, I thought it was going to be some casual interactions, not we traveled for these events type level.
I mean,
but I appreciate the lore.
You started the bit.
I did. I didn't know what I was asking for. That was a live reaction. That was not rehearsed. We did not know this about Brant McKee previously. That's super cool, though. Let's get into this news. Ubisoft layoffs, ubiquitous software, as us old folks know them as. From Tom Ivan at VideoGamesChronicle.com, Ubisoft confirms 185 layoffs as it closes former DJ Hero Studio and downsizes others. I'm not laughing at the job loss. I'm laughing at DJ Hero. When is the last time you heard that terminology and not in
In a long
an
time.
accessory sitting on a rack at Goodwill?
Which I would still purchase.
I would too if I could find one. I don't have DJ Hero for anything.
I do have DJ Hero
You
still.
have some DJ Hero stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft has confirmed plans to lay off 185 employees in Europe as a result of wider restructuring efforts. The move will see the company close Ubisoft Leamington, which is based in Leamington Spa, England, and make cuts at Ubisoft Dusseldorf, Ubisoft Stockholm, and Ubisoft Reflections. Ubisoft Leamington was previously known as Freestyle Games, the studio behind the DJ Hero series, before it was acquired by Ubisoft from Activision in 2017. I didn't even know that. I thought it was still an Activision joint. And for some reason, I thought that was a Harmonix production. I'm very wrong. It has since worked mainly as a support studio on games such as Far Cry 5, Avatar, and Star Wars Outlaws. Ubisoft said in a statement provided to VGC, as part of our ongoing efforts to prioritize projects and reduce costs that ensure long-term stability at Ubisoft, we have announced targeted restructurings at Ubisoft Dusseldorf, Ubisoft Stockholm, and Ubisoft Reflections, and the permanent closure of Ubisoft Leamington site. Unfortunately, this should impact 185 employees overall. We are deeply grateful for their contributions and are committed to supporting them through this transition. Blah, 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 blah. Citing people familiar with the situation, Bloomberg claimed the Chinese tech firm Tencent and Ubisoft's founders are thinking of creating a new entity, which they will then move certain Ubisoft assets over to in an attempt to boost Ubisoft's value. The Guillemot of Yves Guillemot family currently owns 14% of Ubisoft shares, while Tencent owns 9.99%. That's very specific. Last October, Bloomberg reported that Tencent and the Guillemots had been speaking with advisors to explore ways to stabilize Microsoft. I almost said Microsoft. Following a year in which its market value more than halved. Those discussions were said to have included the possibility of the pair teaming up to take Ubisoft private, although talks were said to be at an early stage at this time. Again, 185 new employees available to the job market. Hopefully they are able to find work through that site set up by the trending gamer of the year. We should have learned his name by now because this story has come up like 19 times since we were at the game of the year or the game awards. He runs a site to try to reallocate resources for employees that have been laid off. Ubisoft, Cesar, you keep mentioning the AAA bust. Is Ubisoft a leading contender, like spiraling towards that possibly?
They should be. I mean, a lot of their AAA stuff is usually cookie cutter, right? So
you think that budget is just too big, like the avatars and the, because they're well received. Like people like the Avatar, people like the Star Wars Outlaws. They're not reaching sales goals that are set by the sizes of these teams. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like the Prince of Persia game that we all loved last year that didn't meet sales expectations.
They lack creativity, and then when they do get creative, it doesn't pay off for them. And I think it's because the brand has been hurt too much. I mean, all the Far Cries are pretty much cookie cutter, and And most like Tom Clancy's, whatever spinoffs you have or whatever main entries like Ghost Recon, all that are all cookie cutter. Assassin's Creed is pretty much cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So I mean,
They're not innovating anymore. Even Prince of Persia. I mean, Prince of Persia was a return to form, and we liked it, but that was.
I think it's just because we all know what's going to happen. It's like, I'll wait till it's $20.
Oh, on a Ubisoft title.
Yeah.
I was tempted by that Star Wars Outlaws, but I know it's going to drop even more, right?
I mean, we all did that with what, except for Brant for Avatar. So
yeah,
the real Airbender.
The blue people's the real Airbenders. Oh god. I've waited for 20 for most Ubisoft games. Prince of Persia, Avatar was $20 when I got it. Assassin's Creed Mirage was $20 when I got it. Innovation, maybe that is the key.
I mean, they need a whole rehaul on how they make games, in my opinion. So,
and market them right. Then they shoot themselves on the foot a couple times by not coming to Steam day one, and now they seem to have pivoted from that. They're starting to add Steam achievements for old Assassin's Creed games, and I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be day one Steam to get to that wider audience.
I think most of the corporations have learned now. Like Rockstar removed their launcher; they don't have the Rockstar launcher. They doing day and date with Steam. I mean, we saw that with Red Dead.
What about my free copy of San Andreas? Was that the one they gave us for logging into that Rockstar launcher? So the Rockstar launcher is gone?
It is. I think it's not gone. It's just that it's not necessary because they've literally removed it from their games. Like the requirement that you had to have it.
Okay.
Kind of like the Uplay going. And I don't know if that store is still available or not. I just know they went through and they kind of cleaned that up. So I mean, Uplay will probably still be around, but I mean, it's like you guys said, those days of it being exclusive to it are slowly going away. And I think, what was it? Assassin's Creed is the first one as a day and date with Steam, right? It's not that little delayed release. Right. So, I mean, a lot of that stuff was trying to get people integrated in the ecosystem. It's kind of late, A lot of people are already in the Steam ecosystem, so it's like they don't want to turn around any potential PC sales. So
I was looking real quick to see if I had that launcher on here, because like let's say if I add it to the ROG Ally and then I add San Andreas to my Steam library from there. Like, is that just gone if they take that launcher down? Have I lost that license?
I mean, the only one they took away for good was what, Bethesda, but I think they migrated all those games over to Steam.
They did
right?
move those. You had a way to convert
those.
So
it's like, I don't think the Rockstar launcher is gone per se. I just know the requirement to use it is no longer necessary.
It's no longer a skin like Uplay, like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Or the EA Origin, which I think
EA Origin became EA Play because they went to that subscription base. So, but that one's still funny because like when you do Game Pass on PC, for you to play the EA games, you had to install the EA Play. It's like it won't launch natively in the Windows environment, so you have to have that.
Oh god, it's like games with Windows again.
Basically.
I still never looked at the back of that copy of Halo. You guys remind me to look at Halo 2 and see if Gearbox did that. I always think of it at the random times and never go actually look.
I think you might be right. I think that might have been the first one when Bungie went and just did it themselves.
I feel like it is. I'm trying to pull up this PlayStation story, and instead my ad is a giant hamburger as seen below.
This one's from VGC, Chris Gallion. Just recently, PlayStation names a new sole president and CEO as Herman Hulst takes a studio role. So basically, we've gone, what was that, it was like maybe middle of last year, they announced there was going to be a co-CEO.
It was like two of them.
Sony Interactive, and it was going to be Hideki Nishino, and as well as Herman Hulst, right? One was going to be over, I think, the platform business, and then Hulst was over PlayStation Studios. And so Sony just recently got a new CEO, right? And I think at that same time, they kind of realigned PlayStation, so where they had to move Nishino up to CEO of Sony Interactive, and then they have kept Hulst in the same role, but he's no longer CEO, and he just reports to Nishino. So that is effective as of April 1st, just like every other corporation, because I have places I work for. There's many movements happening on that date, which is funny because you always think of April 1st being like April Fool's Day.
Right. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen?
But it is a thing going on there. And so, I mean, basically that's was recently just announced. So I mean, there's some movement going around, some realignment. What does that mean? As far as we know, nothing really changes, right? So, I mean, we know that Sony's been kind of realigning some of their software structure because we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. They have been canceling a lot of their gas games push,
the live service titles,
and there's been concern about their output, and I think that's why we even further back we talked about them looking at their old IPs and doing AA experiences off that, right? I think that's probably the push on there because they know there's going to be a huge gap from their AAA releases and the gas games that just canceled. That there's just going to be a lot of nothing there, right? Because I mean, they can only remaster so many games. I don't know how many more remasters they could do from the PS4 era.
What are you trying to say, Cesar? It's time to dip into the PS3 era or before?
That would be smart.
That'd
I mean,
be okay,
I figured Rich would have been excited about his Resistance IP renewal in Europe.
Remaster.
Yeah.
There's a rumor, right? It's a pretty strong rumor. I did it. I brought it back.
It's a renewal, so it's not a rumor. They renewed it. Just whether or not they actually use it for something.
Just like Skies of Arcadia.
Basically, yeah. They just didn't want to lose the IP. So, that way you don't have people coming out there making fan-based games. So,
I said the other day I'm gonna go play some more Resistance. My youngest child went Resistance, and like pushed out like that. I was like, here's the cool thing. Not only are they fighting against aliens, but there's an alien virus that turns humans into aliens, so they're resisting that as well. How cool is that part? Whoa.
Double resist.
Yes. Resistance squared.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, that was just announced recently, so whether that changes anything or not, probably not.
It doesn't seem like some places I saw had a spin of it being like a demotion, but I just read the actual press release, and it's not really a demotion at all. They just announced that this guy would take more of a role of like overall Sony decisions. Herman Hulse is still like leading the games division. It doesn't seem like that level has changed at all.
I mean, it's slightly because he was basically co-CEO.
Yeah.
So Herman Hulse has basically kind of been stepped down a little bit, and he reports to Nishino, like Cesar was saying.
It's similar to like that whole Jim Ryan experience. Remember, they moved Jim Ryan up to CEO, and then they kind of put Sean Layden over like the studios, and he's like, and he just left. Yeah. So it's like it's kind of like that whole deal.
Or Shuhei. Does that mean Herman Hulse days are numbered?
Probably not. I mean, it depends on what he likes to do, right? If he prefers to do game development and do the game portfolio, it's probably maybe a better move for him. So, I mean, because I think, what did it say, Brent? He was over the game studios and PlayStation studios for like any of the IPs for movies and all that kind of stuff. I think he's also over that. So I think it's just that, I don't know. They seem to go back. They went back to more of a traditional model. Some people argue like, oh, it was a trial to see who they would go with for CEO and blah 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 blah. So, but I don't think it.
It could have been.
I mean, it's like what was it? It's like Richard's favorite series, The Office, when they had the co-managers in there with him and Michael Scott and Jim. So, and then just fight back and forth about who was better and who's the real manager and who's not the real manager. I'm day to day. Jim is something else.
So they pulled the plug on Concord, and that was Herman Hulse's strike.
Possibly. I mean,
about to say it could possibly be a little bit to do with the whole Concord live service push, because
that Concord thing was probably a blessing in disguise, because I mean, a lot of those gas games that are getting canceled is probably because of that. They probably went back and reevaluated stuff like, it wasn't a hit as we thought we were going to be, and like, let's re-look at all these ones we got coming out.
This thing is a disguise for us, right? Gamers versus just trying to see which one of those games as a service is going to be the white whale.
So, but I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, this generation's been weird, right? We had the long end of the PS4 carried on, which is fine. I mean, there's a huge PS4 base, but it's kind of hampered any differentiator in the PS5 one, outside of like Brandon put it in this news PC as a newsmaster, but like PlayStation Plus. And then I guess we would talk about in there is, they're not going to offer PS4 games after 2026. Yep. So. But, they're like finally going away with that. But I was like, they're talking about PlayStation 6 coming out like 2027 or later, when that's like another year after that. So it's like, it's getting to that point where, we're we're going to be hearing like, do we buy a new console at all? Because I mean, a lot of these new games coming out in the next couple of years are probably going to come out for both.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it's like the PS5 Pro, man. It's like I was going to fuck around with you, Richard, and joke around and say, Top Spin's on is a PS5 Pro game now. So is that the one that makes us go buy the console? Is that what brings more life? Because I just added it to it. I was like, is that where we're gonna like, what did they add in there that makes me want to
co-op?
Is that
Can they now put co-op back in our tennis game with the power of the PS5 Pro?
All right, whoa, they did. Would that be the selling point?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm buying one now. Get one now for co-op online play.
So I don't know what they put in that game. I just happened to look on the list in the store. I was like, let me see what they put in this PS5 Pro enhanced thing and see if there's anything new in there that like actually makes me want to like even think about acquiring one. And that's all Top Spin in there. It's like, oh shit, that's new. Talked about by nobody, right? That's the first I've heard of it, right? That's the first I've seen of it.
My spouse says, "What is this $800 charge on our account?" It's like,
the Top Spin
listen,
machine.
I had to have a new device. What does it do? It allows for 2-player cooperative play doubles on a tennis game.
With the power of the PS5
like
Pro
Pong?
play,
Yes, like Pong.
Like Pong.
Oh god. So I was like, I saw that. I was like, oh, this is it. This is gonna be the system seller.
No, it's not Top Spin. Top Spin's good, but it's not Top Spin. I'm trying to. This is probably its own podcast, but I'm way more interested in these handheld gaming PC devices at this point. They're growing by leaps and bounds just over the past couple of years. Like I see more growth in that than I have in any console space. I may be one of these people in a few years that has like the Nintendo console and Game Pass for whatever, and then wait the year or two before the game comes out from Sony on PC and play it there and have the new Nintendo thing maybe, and that's it. But I don't know. There's diminishing returns as far as that goes.
All right, Richard, I can confirm that we're not buying the console because all that's been enhanced is crisp 4K. Cutscenes and replays are bumped up to 30 frames to 60 frames per second. Just the replays and cutscenes.
I had no issues with the cutscenes and the replays. Yeah. You want a slower replay anyways. Why would you want a 60 frames per second replay?
I don't know, man. It's these
oh my gosh.
This generation of kids are cooked, man, because every time I go online on YouTube to watch some video, something that's always on like 60 frames per second. It's like this is how TV shows are cut in 60 frames per second. This looks stupid.
Yeah, they don't look right.
And I was like, I can't believe people are like watching up. Like, this looks great. I'm like, oh my god, this generation's cooked, man. I was like, I don't get it. But
so on these outputs, right? Because some of my favorite experiences in all of gaming have been this generation. So it's not, I can't knock. And some of it has been the live service stuff. We've poured tons of hours into Warzone and the offerings from Master Chief Collection and Infinite.
Yeah, let's fire Warzone right now. Let's go.
I'm not playing Warzone. I have to download it first. I think I have to download Warzone. No, I think I still have it on both systems. But those, I feel like those, and maybe that fits my play style more because I don't get around to playing a whole lot, but we're just not getting the constant release of content that we did for like PS2 and even PS3. Like when it took longer for those Japanese studios to gear up for HD game production, like the West kind of led the way on the HD generation, but like PS2, GameCube, and Xbox, like we had it so good back then with all these games coming out all the time. We don't have that. It's a much slower drip now.
Yeah,
it just is
cost, man. It's just cost, and then just pulling people into.
Right, but I would buy these experiences for $30-$40 day one, and I support those. I get those games. I tend to buy them.
I bought Prince of Persia day one. I loved every minute of it. I would love another one, but look what happened. So
we're not getting that. Like Kenna Bridge of Spirits, I need to get around to playing that one. I know it's going to be up my alley. I think both you guys enjoyed it. It's one of those. And
then you got to buy a PS5 Pro for Top Spin. So.
We're not doing that. We are, however, potentially buying PC ports of Dino Crisis 1 and 2 from GOG.
Not potentially.
Comes from,
it's already been purchased.
I need to do this. This comes from Chris Scullion at VideoGamesChronicle.com. You want to take this one, Brant?
Sure, why not?
I need to get this.
The original PC versions of Dino Crisis and Dino Crisis 2 are now available on GOG, although they were ported to PC in 2000 and 2002, respectively. Neither of the games have been available for digital purchase on modern PC storefronts.
Are these physical copies? Is that what they're saying there? Or are they just saying like pre-Steam? Because 01, 02 is pre-Steam, or 2000 and 2002. Yes, it would be physical copy, right?
2002 was when Steam came out, but I think it was still physical copies because you had to put the CD keys in the Steam app
Oh.
to unlock
I
it.
don't think I ever had to do that in Steam. I don't think I ever did
I
that with a title.
I did. I was that's one of my Steam accounts, like 20 years old, and I was
Probably like Orange Box. Did you put an Orange Box code in there, or was that fully distributed over Steam?
I have a physical copy of Half-Life 2 that I had to put the key in there to use. Yeah,
Beautiful.
still somewhere around there. I fit physical copy Silent Hill 3 on PC. They can borrow that too and put that on the internet.
Both games are available on GOG. Currently priced at this says $11.37 each.
That's very specific.
This is USD. Or a bundle at $19.35.
I thought the bundle was like $15. I didn't think it was 19.
That was $16.99. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'm looking at these prices. I'm like, I thought I heard that it was like $9 and $16.
It was like $9 each, and I think $16.99 for the bundle. This might be. This is a UK site, right?
I'm about to say they maybe
BGC.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Neither. Maybe that's like
in dollar amount.
Maybe that's the MSRP.
Like
maybe it's like a day one adopter, or an early launch sales, like 10% off or something.
It's currently priced.
Either way, both games have been optimized to ensure they work on modern PCs and include numerous new features to ensure the best compatibility with today's setups. Both games boast new rendering options, improved DirectX game renders, support for modern controls, smooth video playback, cloud save support, extra stability, and bug fixes.
Bug fixes. Fixing the code all these years later, 20 years later.
They also have enhanced resolution increased to 4K, color depth increased to 32-bit. Features the original range and operation wipeout modes.
Wipeout? No, there's a franchise that should come back on digital storefronts.
Yeah, I have a copy of that in my Xbox.
Dino Crisis 2 includes enhanced item rendering and fogging, as well as an Easy Dino Coliseum and Dino Duel modes. I don't know if I never played those. Both games are, of course, part of GOG's preservation program.
There's a cool video on this, like where they show kind of what they did and the backstory behind bringing them to modern platforms and stuff. And they're opening votes for picking out the next things that they're gonna restore. I mean, people.
Of course, yeah. This article also mentions that Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 that they did last year too. So
I probably should
interesting.
Pick these up.
What do we want to see next?
I mean, they got Resistance games in there and Killzone. There's all sorts of shit in this. And people were saying I wasn't familiar with this beforehand, but they had a polling system or something before, and people saw where titles they had voted for are now in this new system. So I think it's just an enhanced version of what they had before.
I also have a physical copy of Breath of Fire 4 for PC, and I would like to.
I think that's in the top 5 or top 10 of requested titles on their list right now. What are they calling this? GOG Preservation Program?
Yeah.
I feel like, I get... Go ahead, Cesar.
I just checked the site, so it is $9.99 each, $16.99 for the bundle.
Okay. GOG Preservation Program.
Which is what I'd heard, but that article said different, so I don't...
Yeah, VGC
wasn't sure.
Usually pretty on. Something's just kind of off.
Yeah,
there.
Disregard that VGC shenanigan.
I'm trying to see the preservation. So they did Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Diablo, plus the expansion Hellfire, the Resident Evil bundle, Dino Crisis 1 and 2 are their newest ones. I'm trying to see where you can vote for these. Check our preservation stories. I'm on the site. I'm just trying to figure out which ones are next. But of course, their big thing is that they're playable on modern platforms at this point. They're DRM free, so when you buy from GOG, you're not stuck to Steam or Windows. Like wherever you can launch it from, you can play it at. I don't see it. What am I? I'll find that later. We can add that to a story later on.
GOG is also very big, not only on this preservation point, but you buy the games, they're yours.
Yeah.
They are your games. You can do with these digital games the same thing you could do with a physical game.
So yeah, Richard, if you're on the website, if you go to community and then you go down to GOG Dream List, it's on the drop down. It breaks it down like Freelancer, Resident Evil Code Veronica X is on there. Command and Conquer: The Ultimate Collection, Final Fantasy VII PC version, the Operative No One Lives Forever. Right now is a top 5.
Operative is a big. I know a lot of people are clamoring for that one. That was PC and PS2, if I remember right. I think they got a PS2 port. Good for GOG. I know Jaw Muncher was excited. I saw when I woke up, everybody was tagging Jaw Muncher on like Reset Era and stuff. The resident Dino Crisis fanatic. I don't think I actually saw their response though. What would you guys like to see? I'm very happy with these. Like, here it is. It's just available now. It's upscaled. As much as I like the rewind and all the modern twists that we get and enhancements, there's also like Final Fantasy VIII remastered, where you get these compromises of here's a fully 3D model on the background of the same pre-rendered graphics that you know and love, and here's Squall's face. It looks better than it used to, but it's not quite what you remember. Just that weird balance of, you know what I mean? It's not quite. Mm-hmm. People always have something a little bit off with the reimagining, and this is just it. This is just the game. This is what you remembered. It's not a remake. They're bringing it forward to new platforms. Next up, from Gamatsu and Saurmano, Forza Horizon 5 coming to PS5 this spring. Supports cross-play with Xbox and PC versions. Publisher Xbox Game Studios and developer Playground Games will release open-world racing game Forza Horizon for PS5 this spring, the company's announced. Wish listing is available now via PlayStation Store. Forza Horizon 5 first launched for Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC via Steam and Microsoft Store on November 9th, 2021. The PlayStation 5 version, developed by Panic Button, they did the Doom port to Switch, right? Is that who I'm thinking of?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Iron Galaxy, I think, had their hands in that one. Developed by Panic Button in partnership with Turn 10 Studios and Playground Games, will feature the same content as the Xbox and PC versions of the game. Previously released car packs, including the Hot Wheels and Rally Adventure expansions, will also be available for purchase. Crossplay with the Xbox and PC versions is also supported. Here's an overview of the game. We're not going over that. Please look forward to... We got a date for this too, right? It was April something?
That's just said spring.
It's not in this article. I feel like I saw April somewhere. Interesting. Yes, it does say spring. Can confirm. We knew more Xbox games were coming to other platforms, right? This only makes sense. I was recently dabbling with Forza Horizon 4 on Steam Deck, and that is one hell of a Steam Deck game. And this is the perfect franchise. I remember not too long ago we were thinking Xbox basically consists of Halo, Gears, and Forza, and here's one of their top 3.
Flagship.
Yeah, that's on other things. A big takeaway that I saw online is somebody said, we knew this was coming. Xbox has totally gotten out of the way of like being stuck on a console. Xbox now is just games wherever you want to, and you don't have to play these silly box wars. You love Forza, you love Xbox games, and it's available everywhere.
I mean, Xbox is now Microsoft. That's what Microsoft does. You don't see a Microsoft dedicated PC for Windows.
They don't care if you're using Asus or Lenovo or Dell. It don't matter to them.
But they still offer hardware for people who do want it. So, but it's not
a requirement. They announced new hardware. What today? This new Surface, new Surface laptop announced today with a dock and everything. And Intel. They didn't even go with Snapdragon stuff. They're doing Intel.
Yeah,
double whammies. Cesar, you said in the pre-show you were gonna double dip on this.
Triple dip. I'll buy this one. I bought it on Series consoles and PC.
These are Steam. So. These are like the top tier arcade racers. They're so much fun. And they're so easy to pick up and play. I was talking last week on Steam Deck how easy it is just to power it up and play a race or two, and then put it in sleep mode, and you're good. You've played a little bit of Forza and progressed your points or whatever. It's good. Those are good racing games. And it will be exciting to play them with haptic feedback. Those haptic triggers on PS5. Feel like the dirt rumble in your tires on one right side of the car, say, go into the dirt. You'll feel like how the dirt feels on that impact on the controller.
You would hope. We'll see, right?
One would hope
they do a good job of it.
That it's a good
So,
port.
I mean, we knew that this one was coming pretty soon because, these typically get delisted pretty quickly, right? Due to the music licensing. There's a lot of indie-based rock bands in there. So
they do, you're right.
This has been out for 4 years now. 4 years at the end of November. So this is probably, unless they've renewed their contracts, it may not be out or around for long.
So maybe like 18 months on the PlayStation Store as it is.
Yeah.
Did they say a physical copy was coming?
They did not. They've been working with Limited Run on their physical copies. I imagine that's what's going to happen. I don't think they have outside of the Bethesda games. I don't think they've done any physical copies from their internally in the studios, and maybe the Activision stuff. But I think they typically work with Limited Run. I would imagine this would be Limited Run. This will be a digital only, my guess.
So crazy to me to not have a retail presence, but that's just the way things are now.
I mean, they have yet to use. I've never seen Microsoft put anything on a UHD, so I wouldn't trust them to put anything on a physical disc. So I'd rather somebody else do it right.
And Sony's backpedaling on physical media too, it seems. Did we talk about Sony backing out of the Blu-ray game?
Well, Blu-ray
readable, writable.
Yeah,
that's
but
it.
it's always
Readable,
like
writable.
it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It starts with one thing and then it's the next, and then
I mean,
your flagship console doesn't ship with a disc drive. That's pretty telling, in my opinion.
I don't even look at that because I look at their anime and their Blu-ray releases, and they're still putting out multiple.
Okay. You're confident in that? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh.
They still do, yeah. I mean, there's somebody I follow on Twitter where they run an anime corner, and they order for distributors, and he's very open. He's always like, "Hey, just to let you know, you might want to buy this anime series because it's out of print,
yeah,
and I'm not going to be able to get any more because they lost the rights or they're getting out the game or." So typically I get heads up, but I don't think any of that's going to change. It's like Brant said, it's just recordable media, which has been on the decline. So, which is unfortunate because I sent you that link for that Blu-ray burner I bought.
Yeah.
And it's MDIS. So what it does, it actually does hard encoding when you burn discs. So it doesn't use that dye that fades. So whatever you record on those, it's supposed to last a lot longer.
Oh,
so
$60 for a Blu-ray recorder. I've got one sitting around here somewhere with some spare discs. We were using them for large video files at a place of employment years ago.
But yeah, I've gotten. I went in with that one because that one you can flash and it'll burn and play UHDs. So
it'll do playback of 4K UHDs.
Mm-hmm. It does everything with UHDs. It's like it's custom firmware. It's like it's not never intended to do it. But you follow the guide, it can do it. That's the whole reason why I bought it. Because like if you get it like a dedicated UHD one, those are like 150 plus. So
yeah, because I've looked at some of the commercial playback ones because you and I'll send links back and forth Black Friday or whenever they end up going on sale.
So I actually do not have a slot in my computer because my computers they've done away with that feature to burn disk. But I just bought an external enclosure and put it in there and go through USB. So
yeah, because it's a SATA interface, right? I think when you sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an open slot. When I was talking to you about that, I meant PCIe is what I had in mind, but I don't have an open SATA slot. They don't make those anymore. I was thinking PCIe on the back, not SATA.
Yeah. But yeah, because LG's getting out of the Blu-ray game. That's why I bought it because I think that's their final batch before it's gone. They're not making any more players or drives. So
end of an era.
I mean, everybody wants to stream, man. When it comes to movies and music, it's super easy now. So
yeah,
it's not the best quality, but it's super easy. Some people take easiness versus
convenience.
Quality, as you can tell.
Convenience is not always the key. That's how we get dumbed down things, worse versions. Last but not least in news, PlayStation Plus monthly games for February. You're going to get, with your subscription, Payday 3, which we've talked about wanting to play one of these Payday games. I would be down to stream this.
I think we downloaded the second one and we just never got to it.
And I bought a physical copy of Payday 2 on PS3 because I read the servers were still up. I figured that would be interesting. Payday 3, High on Life, and Pac-Man World Repack. None of them are newish games, I guess you could say.
Oh.
Payday 3 co-op first-person shooter experience for up to 4 players online. High on Life is a comedy game from Squanch Games. This was the one where like the gun talks to you and stuff. This was a big Game Pass Day 1 title when it came out.
Yeah.
And I think we got it through a Humble Bundle or something on Steam.
That is also true.
And then Pac-Man World Repack, which I bought a physical copy of on PS5, and I recently just got on Steam for like $5 or $6.
The PS1 classic, right?
Yeah, it's a remake of the PS1 classic, as Cesar said, Pac-Man World. And then we subsequently got like Pac-Man World 2 and 3 on PS2 and Xbox, and nothing since. And they were all million sellers. And that's when we got these AA space games. Pac-Man World Repack is a very, very good platformer. I loved it.
I've enjoyed the time I had it.
with
It was pretty good. Yeah.
In this 2004 remake of the original PlayStation platformer, that date's not even right on this PlayStation blog press briefing. This is not Megan Spur quality work here.
That's unfortunate.
There's no
Adam Mitchell. It's Adam Mitchell quality.
Yeah, it is Adam Mitchell or Adam Michel Ancel. In this 2004 remake of the original PlayStation platformer. That's just totally not right. Did it come out last year? Did it come out in 2024?
It did.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
like
just
early.
It's a slight typo. It should be 2024 instead of 2004. Of the original PlayStation platformer, because I know the PS1 one came out before 2004. That's well into PS2 life.
Yeah, I think they meant to put 2024
it's just a
in there.
typo. It just stands out for people like us. Last chance, you have until February 3rd.
I didn't notice until you slaughtered that person on it. So.
Michelle. Last chance to download January's games. You have until February 3rd to add Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. I love this game. And the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe to your game library. As Cesar mentioned earlier, an update on PS4 games for PlayStation Plus, as many of our players are currently playing on PS5 and have shifted toward redeeming and accessing PS5 titles from the monthly games and game catalog benefit. PlayStation Plus is also evolving with this trend and will focus on offering PS5 titles through the monthly games and game catalog benefit starting January 2026, a year from now. Pretty good heads up. As we shift to PS5, PS4 games will no longer be a key benefit and will only be occasionally offered for PlayStation Plus monthly games and game catalog starting January 2026. Again, they reiterate. We may still provide titles that can be playable on both PS4 and PS5 consoles after this date. Please note, this won't affect the PS4 monthly games that you have already redeemed from PlayStation Plus. You'll continue to have access to games you've already redeemed as long as you remain a member. For game catalog, PS4 games will still be available to play until it leaves the catalog as part of our monthly refresh. We'll continue to evolve the experience of PlayStation Plus and optimize the benefits you receive, including exclusive discounts, online multiplayer access, online game save storage, and more. As we shift our focus to PS5, we look forward 4.5 years later. As we shift our focus to PS5, we look forward to adding new PS5 titles monthly for you, Brant McKee, directly to enjoy.
So, obviously, they're going to still include PS4 titles.
Yes. At bare minimum for the next 12 months.
In certain games, I mean, they are PS4, they obviously play on PS5. But the majority of the games that they offer, we've been reading these lists for several years now, since they've gone to this new tier of Essential, Premium, and Extra. Majority of the titles that they include have been PS4 titles.
Right.
Now, I mean, some of them have been like, oh, it's a PS2 remake that was released for PS4. And now they're finally getting around to just releasing PS2 versions of things.
Support their other tier.
Yeah, there's a lot of PS4 titles that go in. So
yeah.
And obviously the PS5 has been out for a while now, but I don't know if there's enough titles to let it float the entire subscription service constantly.
Yeah, we read a couple of months ago, it was almost like a 50-50 split of PS4 and PS5 propping up PlayStation Plus, right? They must have seen something, or they're trying to ease that content in a certain direction.
I mean, Richard's MLB The Show doesn't have a PS4 and Xbox One version, so it's only PS5 and Series and
Yeah,
Switch.
And it's not
just
coming to
now
Game
that they're
Pass.
starting to. Yeah, it's
I think
just now that they're starting to kind of try and taper off this last generation, and things are,
Which is super surprising with sports games. Usually that's the one they always like do a bitch version for the older
Right,
consoles.
like a legacy, like a patch, basically just a roster update.
Ubisoft's Just Dance.
Yeah.
What did they go to? 2019 or 2020?
21 or something like that. It was in the 2020s when they killed it for the Wii.
For the Wii, yeah.
It was still a big seller. I don't know. We saw this happen with games with gold, right? They started saying we're not going to release Xbox 360 games unless they happen to be backwards compatible or something. This is more striking to me because, like I mentioned before, there's so many. Like, there's not this grand list of amazing titles this generation. Like, you can pull from so much PS4 content to release and pad out this. Maybe that means another subscription model or something is on its way. Or they're going to support that legacy content in some other way. But
I mean, you're probably not going to see a lot of these big AAA games on that service as much that everybody clamors for. So it's probably what it is. It's probably mostly going to be AA and indie because that's where they got a lot to pull from.
To me, that those 3 games, I don't think they're bangers, but that's a solid list of content. Like those are 3 good games to play out of this monthly subscription.
It's got variety, and I mean, nothing's horrible. So it's not. Not everybody's gonna be happy. So.
Yeah. I wonder if you'll see more stuff that is more easily playable in the Portal. Like if they pivot some of that cloud streaming stuff to a handheld. If it's not the Portal, maybe the next generation handheld. The NGP. Was it NGP? Was that the code name of the Vita? They were calling it the next generation portable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we getting into games played. We done with news at last. Done with news. Played some Halo with you guys, but I'm going to let y'all fill in. Y'all had the extravagant Saturday with the new modes and all. My biggest thing has been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I fired that up on the ROG Ally. I'm kind of learning more about the Ally as I go through this. The kind of the power modes that you can feed it. You've got like a quiet mode, which is a 10-watt draw on the battery. You got performance, which is 15, I think. And you've got turbo, which is a 25-watt draw. And of course, with a handheld with battery, you get more performance out of the power draw, like a PC with a power supply, right? But I have Final Fantasy VII Remake set on 900p, and I'm getting 900p 60 frames per second, like with no screen tearing or anything. And that on that size screen is fucking fantastic. It is such a beautiful game. As we're talking about, PS4 content coming to PlayStation Plus or cutting that tier off, like those games are still great looking, especially on the rise of these handhelds that we're starting to mess with. And I still play a bunch of Skyrim on Steam Deck and things like that. And Forza Horizon on Steam Deck. Like these look like next generation experiences when you have them down on that smaller screen. But I'm further in this. I think I played the first chapter on a stream, trying to get into streaming, a year or two maybe. I was playing Intergrade on PS5.
Yeah. We all remember that was the day you unlocked your Twitter account.
Is that what I did? Did I have to stream from Twitter or something?
No, you uploaded a pic that was funny because you were going in Jesse's ass. Or
that was the demo. Yeah, that was when I was playing the demo on PS4. that was my last pinned tweet. I don't go on Twitter unless somebody sends me a link and it pulls up to that content.
Or it talks about come and go.
Or come and go. I like me a good come and go reference. But I think I have time with the portable to I just get in some time here and there. And this is such a good rendition of that story. Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games of all time. If I had to hammer out a top 10, the top 10 would change left and right, but I know Final Fantasy VII would be on every iteration of that top 10. And you guys both played it and you talked about it on the show here. And you talk about the story going places. And there's already some deviations where I'm like, whoa. So the first chapter is like the Mako reactor run. And then you immediately have a run-in with Sephiroth, who is known as the big baddie in Final Fantasy VII. But in the PS1 game, you don't see him. There's rumors and like talking about him, but nowhere near this point early in the game. And he's prominently featured as like already being in Cloud's head and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I've met Tifa, and man, Tifa's so lovable. Like I don't really form bonds with
Tifa's best girl, man.
I mean, I think they fleshed her out a lot better in this game, like personality wise, and it's like
there's so much depth to her, and like she leans in when she's talking to you, and she does like things with her arms, and it just these characters are brought so much more to life in this rendition. And the first time I went into her bar, and she led me to the building. And then she sprints in, and the scene's kind of loading. Like there's real cinematic cuts on the camera as you're following Cloud around and stuff. And Barrett and his adopted daughter have already gone in there and sat down. And for most people, that'll be like it's going to be an emotional hit. But I've known and loved this story for over 20 years. So I see them sitting there at the bar, and Tifa like runs around behind the bar, and she's looking back at me. And I'm starting to walk in there and like seeing this space rendered. It's not an Ocarina of Time 3D realization where your eye is like, oh, this is exactly what this game looked like. It's like what you feel, your mind filled in the blanks, and you thought something could look like if it had Toy Story. That was always the thing, right? The bar was Toy Story graphics. Like, what if we had Final Fantasy VII, but it looked real? It looked like Toy Story. And I'm walking in this bar, and Barrett's just like chatting with his daughter, and these they're scripted, but these things, I'm not interacting with it, and these things are just going on in this bar. And I got a lump in my throat, and I was like, man, I'm back in this universe. Like I'm back in this place that I just adored when I was 17, 18, and just discovering how deep stories and games could go, and how much you could care about characters, and the way that music incorporated into games. And it was just it was awesome, man. I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be a good experience. As you got on in Final Fantasy VII on PS1, these characters start talking about a reunion, and that is way earlier in this game than I remember being in the PS1 game. There's like one of the reunion characters is in the little apartment next to me. I heard this moaning and groaning in the middle of the night, and Cloud got his Buster Sword out and like walked next door, and it was one of these guys muttering about reunion, and I kind of know where that goes a little bit, but they're doing
right into a Kingdom Hearts game,
pretty much, right? They're doing some wild things with this story, but this is definitely the story I remember, and it feels so lived in. Like there's a part where you beat the first bombing mission. The music is god tier. I've been listening to it on Apple Music. It's just, I'll be getting a CD collection of this before too long. As you come back to Midgar in the slums after that first bombing mission, you're trying to get to the bar that I was talking about. What's that?
You said before you come back. I said before you go.
Before you come and before you go. But you walk through the slums getting to this bar, and I kept waiting for something to be right around the corner. Like there's something I need to do, or a signpost to look at or something. But it was just people talking, and it's people reacting to the bombing up there. And it's just totally lived in. And even if you come up to an area, it's hard to describe without, I mean, this is the best thing about games, is that you're in that world and you're looking around and you're soaking everything up, right? You will come to a fence that, in a video game, it's a fence. You can't go past this. You can't jump over it. You're not supposed to interact with it. But beyond that fence, they've put in traffic cones. There's like tape marking off other areas. There's a guard walking around back there. There's a cat jumping down off a box. Like there's just so much stuff that is rendered and is like living and breathing in this world. I've started this before, and I know I've kind of slept on this game for all these years, but this is such a phenomenal game, and it's so polished. It is so extremely polished. And I think all the talk of Rebirth geared me into this. Is like, okay, it's Steam Deck verified, but I've tried it on Steam Deck, and I wasn't sure. And let me see. Let me push the ROG and see what this thing does here. On turbo mode, which is what I've been running at, it eats the fuck out of that battery. I played maybe an hour, and I was starting to get the 10% like blinking thing. I got 20%, and then within like 5 minutes, I got that 10%. I was like, holy shit, I need to plug this thing in. But the fans are on full blast on turbo mode, so Does anybody else smell the fans out of their like Steam Deck? You know, do you? Okay, it's not just me. I'm like, there's some Steam Deck exhaust. But the ROG Ally does the same type thing. I talked about it last week, but the ROG Ally has some growing pains with Windows if you're just not used to Windows all the time, and it does not have the pick up and play convenience of the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is just tailored for that Steam OS and tap and power to put it to sleep mode and all that sort of stuff. The Windows overlay adds a whole lot of stuff where you're updating Windows, the Windows Store, the Asus app. That's what else is on there. The Armory Core has updates. So
the Windows App Store.
Yeah, you can get lost in these various updates with stuff, but man, it's a powerful machine. And I took a video, Brandon, I need to send it to you. I sent it to a friend of the show, Joel, who designed our theme song. And he turned me on to this game many, many, many years ago. He turned me on to Final Fantasy VII. It was something we like talked about in school back and forth. And like, I would have theories about the game. And he's like, make sure you're nice to Eris and those sorts of things. And I've met her once. And there's these things following her around like Dementors from Harry Potter. And those were not in the first game. I don't know what the fuck these things are. It's like these invisible, shadowy ghost things that come after you. But it's so good. I'm in awe of every place I go to that it's just beautifully rendered and the music is phenomenal and the characters are already so good. I went to talk to Barrett's daughter in that same scene and she was scared of me because she didn't know who I was. And he crawled my shit. He's like, you can't be going looking at people with those killer eyes, especially young kids. Like he crawled my ass. And I don't know that it would have happened if I hadn't like gone to talk to her. Like there's these scenes and there's just so much depth in this. They didn't dial this in. We see, is remake even the right term for this? We see remake put on stuff. We see remaster put on stuff. This is like a reimagining. This is like a whole nother level of what they wanted to do with that. Like Dead Space might be a remake. Resident Evil 4 is a pretty solid remake. This is on a whole nother level.
You haven't gone that far now. I mean, the story deviates way more as you get on there. It's not the cores there, but there's even more subtle differences as you
guys have made the Kingdom Hearts reference before. Yeah. I still don't like the battle system. The battle system does not click with me. And luckily up to this point, I haven't done a whole lot of fighting. I did the Mako reactor and it's just been story ever since then. And I think I would be perfectly happy just going from like place to place and playing this as a walking simulator. I'm on easy mode. And towards the end, like that boss battle and then escaping the Mako reactor, I got used to switching characters. Like Barrett has a gun in his arm and I know we'll find out about that in the story. I know where that goes. But he can reach things up high. So Cloud has a sword and he can melee things close. And then Barrett has the gun arm, so he can shoot turrets and things like that. And I got used to switching between the two characters. I'm changing filters for people right now in the slums, and I've got Tifa in my party, so I'm about to head somewhere with Tifa right now. But it's great. If you're listening to this and you have not played either one of those games, there's a double pack on Humble Bundle. There's a double pack on Steam now because both of them are out on Steam. I'm assuming you guys both love the second one, right? I'm assuming the second one is just as good, if not better than this one. And I would highly recommend getting that twin pack. I'll wait until I finish this one before I get Rebirth and hope for another sale or maybe Steam Summer Sale or something like that. But it's really, really good so far. But that's it for me. I'll let y'all y'all played more of the new Halo modes, and then I got introduced the next day, but I'll let you guys cover your games played.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played really that much this week outside of just the couple rounds of Halo Infinite we had, which was on Saturday, in which we streamed a little bit of that, and then as well as Sunday, I think we played a little bit.
Was it Sunday or Monday? Or Sunday and
Monday as well.
Yeah.
And then after the Monday one where we got our asses kind of handed to us, it died down a little bit, the excitement.
I thought the Halo gods were off through the week and they only played on Saturday nights.
So, when we went on that night, and I think a friend of the show, Buish, played on a couple nights that night, and friend of the show Renee played some others. So outside of that, I went through and I hosted this one, and I went through and I kind of just looked at the modes and just tried different things that I thought would be interesting. Like we ended up playing VIP, where you have to kill the marked character, and get up whoever kills them 10 times wins the match.
That mode was
some
fun.
stuff,
I really enjoyed that mode.
some different stuff, like because I know typically tactical in Fiesta is usually our go-to on that one. So I think we added that one. I saw that we had something called Husky and Super Husky capture the flag.
Still don't understand where the name Husky comes from.
Which I think we played. I think we played with Weesh on Saturday and it was really, really fun. And I think we were playing that same mode towards the end of that night, and it became not so much fun as Renee famously quoted, "All he saw was lights," because you would die immediately.
Center shot, nonstop center shot.
Yeah, once you have the center shot, it's over, man. Because they just get you in the spawn area, it's over. So it just all depends on the roll of the dice in that. So sometimes if you get a group that knows how to abuse that game, they're going to abuse it. But the whole point of that game is that you're in a very small map, and it's standard capture the flag. You capture the flag and you bring it back to your enemy's flag and bring it back to your base and capture it. But it's all power-based weapons at max. So it's like you have the hammer with the axe component on there. It's just everything is like turned to 10. Like you have the sensors are all knocked up like to 10. You can instead of scanning a whole area, you scan like a freaking sphere area. It's like when you dash, you're visible after the fact. It's like everything. It's all turned up. So it's like the whole thing is supposed to be pure chaos, is what it is. So, and it can be too chaotic since it is a small map, and depending on who has it over there, if everybody has a fucking hammer, you just got people going to your base and just hammering nonstop, and there's nothing you could do, right? You spawn and you die. So it just all depends on who you play with. I mean, I guess that's the name of the game, but it's unfortunate, if once you get into that turn, you're not going to win that much, right?
Why do they call it Husky? I can't figure that out.
I don't know.
No idea. But Super Fiesta is the same way. It has everything turned to 10, and then you have the standard Fiesta. So we typically go through that. Those are mixed bags depending if there's vehicles enabled, because some people tend to use the vehicles, and I mean we've had fun killing people with vehicles in that one because we just disable them and just we can turn a tide on there. This is from
Halo Waypoint. Husky history. First introduced to Halo matchmaking in Halo 4, Husky Raid quickly became a fan favorite. The concept was simple. There's a narrow corridor, everyone has random weapons and limited cover, and you've got to get to the enemy's flag. So it's just pure chaos going head to head.
Yeah.
And the super one is super weapons, like Cesar was talking about.
Yeah. So the other one that I think is very popular that really hit really early, and I know Richard's done it before, was the one shot where you have the manglers and going through, and I mean it's not like tactical where you have to do headshots.
You can hit them anywhere.
Get the kill. You hit him in the foot. It's one shot. So
aim for the foot.
And if you kill somebody, you immediately reload. If you don't, it gives you a cooldown timer before it gives you another bullet. So it adds some difficulty on there. So it's always a good time.
I did not remember that element, and it cost me multiple times. Where it was like I was in a shootout and I didn't get back to cover fast enough after shooting. It's like, fuck.
It's not very forgiving if you miss, right? It puts you at a big disadvantage.
It's probably 5 to 10 seconds. It takes a minute for that reload to come back.
It's a good bit.
Yeah. It's a good mode though. I didn't perform well, so I was like, man, I'm completely hosing the team. That's the only time I really don't enjoy it, is when I feel like I'm screwing everybody over.
No.
First to 50, Richard went 4-19. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but that's. I don't think. Yeah, we typically don't let that bother us because there's always somebody in that's always tend to not elevate in that match. So I don't think it's anything to worry about.
The variety was fun. You go on streaks. You go on streaky runs with those manglers. Like you'll get 5 or 6 kills in a row, and then they'll kill you 5 or 6 times in a row.
There's some where I jumped up in the air and just did some crazy shots and it hits, and I'm like, that's sure.
Just trying to.
It's like them. Yeah, because I've gotten the habit of like jumping up left and right, and that typically seems to help better, because they're gonna have to like adjust. If you're just running at them, it gives them a quicker adjustment on there. So I mean, we literally played that. I mean that was pretty good. And this weekend, I mean, I think when we discovered those new modes, it's kind of like reinvigorated us on playing some Halo Infinite online. So as anything, as we move up higher tiers of of the Halo gods, that's going to readjust, right? So
sorry guys, I'll lower my
I
difficulty on the slider there.
I'll talk about a couple more things. I don't know if Brant, before I get to my other stuff, wants to add anything to Halo Infinite, or if we just hit everything on the net
No,
on that one.
It's
Yeah,
so
that
much
was it.
fun. I'm craving it again. Like I was done after Monday. Like we got our shit kicked in pretty good, but now I'm craving some more randomness just to blow off steam.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind making that like our premiere Saturday night thing, and we still fuck around and do something like early Saturday that's different.
Because those
see
modes are fun, and you were curating that playlist perfectly. Like, okay, you had everything on there, and it was like we played a land grab, so you took that out of the queue, and that was awesome. We knew we wouldn't get another land grab, so that really kept the variety going.
Yes, but well, that one I did it because we only had an hour, right? So we didn't want to get sucked into like doing 3 back-to-back land grabs, and it's not really fun. So I know Saturday night's a little bit different because we got a bigger playing block. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you get into the whole bit of like, all right, we played land grab 3 times already, like let's go ahead and take some land grab out. That's enough land grab for the night. Because like the VIP one doesn't come that often, right? Because originally Brant never loaded into that match. And
oh yeah.
the only way I could get it in there for the last game is I had to literally disable everything but VIP. And I was like, let's try VIP, and that's how we got in there.
So when you're curating those, because in the past we've had trouble with Master Chief Collection maps. When you're curating that playlist and you're defining those, it seems like we're getting matches almost immediately, right? I didn't see.
Yeah, it seems like there's somebody actively playing those matches.
Yeah, it didn't seem to be a long queue for us to get in something.
Because I think that's the only caveat to it, right? Because like there are going to be times where you only see like, all right, we've done Super Fiesta like 3 times. It puts you in an open game, right? That's what it's doing. It's just going through whatever it's open. Because there's some modes I think Brant can recall. I think there was a player that we played in VIP that also we played in another mode, right? That just happened to randomly follow us randomly. That was never part of our team. So I guess they were doing the same curation list, just going down, just randomly doing stuff. So
action sack style.
Yeah. But yeah, this week I haven't really played that much. I dabbled in a couple things, so I'm not going to take too much time. I'm going to kick it over to Brant here shortly. I did play a couple of Game Pass games this week. I did do Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I think I played a little bit of Ninja Gaiden 2 on 360, and I played a little bit of Sigma on Vita.
I forgot there was a Vita port.
Sigma on Vita.
Yeah.
And so I played this one, and this is the one they ported over into Unreal Engine 5, and it looks great. I think the only part I started on Sky City Tokyo, where you have a Sonia who's looking for Ryu, and she basically gets kidnapped, and it's basically the tutorial level, right? It's like shows you how to do the basic attacks, block, run on walls. It's that whole thing as you go through and explore that Sky City Tokyo, because she's there to inform him about an archfiend that she needs help dispatching, and so like these ninjas kind of go through her and take her away. So that's essentially where I'm at, because I've just been slowly just going through it and reallocating, because I know the game it can be tough when they throw a bunch of ninjas around you, and even trying to block it can be tough. It's not
you're gonna get juggled just in crowd management.
It's not Dark Souls bad, because you can go in there and just kind of like zip in, zip out backwards. There's different abilities you can do to get out of there, and you have like as you go through, you get a fire attack ability where you can kind of like highlight everybody. That kind of helps even the playing field. But it's like you said, if you get into a small space and you're surrounded by 4 or 5 people, they tend to juggle you, and it can be
never hit the ground.
Yeah. So, but I think it's fair. So you get to save statue, and it kind of refills your life, but it only does it on the initial save. It doesn't do it like, oh, I'm hurt, let me go back and hit save at the same statue I just did earlier. It doesn't do that. It just saves the game. It won't refill your health.
Ninpo, are those the power-ups? Is that like the magic? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm at the very beginning. It's been a while since I played this game. I got to get reallocated to it. So it's definitely a different feel than the Sigma series. So it is more bloody. It is definitely that old school 360 game. Outside, the only difference you're going to look at it is that's just a port of the 360 game. So
how does that look in Unreal Engine 5? I feel like that's a huge highlight of this port.
It looks good. I think it plays well. I don't see any weird artifacting. Sonia's hair looked kind of off on there. I don't know if it's because the way that the Unreal Engine is during the cutscenes, but because that wasn't an Unreal Engine type game originally. But outside of that, it gets the job done. So I'll probably play a little bit more here and there. The other Game Pass game I fired up just came out maybe like what was it, 2 days ago?
Okay.
Actually, the 28th, and then we talked about this on our release, and it was an Eternal Strands, which is an RPG made by Yellow Brick Games, and this is also done in Unreal Engine 5. And this one you play as Bryn, who is a female warrior, and she's on a quest to locate the Enclave, which is a lost long civilization. And she has the ability to manipulate elements and magic and different attacks, and it's like a taboo. I guess these people are looked down upon. So she's been kind of like used as disposable fighters in the past, and she finally gets up with this seems like a good group of people that are trying to figure out their past, basically, because they kind of evolved from this. They call this world the Enclave, which is surrounded by veils, which is like these little magic walls that tend to kill people. So she goes in through and fights a Drake, which is a dragon, and they get like follow this robotic character in the very beginning of the game, story-wise, and they get pulled inside the veil, which looks like the long lost civilization, which is the Enclave, which they're looking for. So it's like the start of the game. I probably put like maybe 40 minutes in there because I've only put the beginning where she lands close to that Enclave outside of it, and they kind of this is the tutorial part. So they kind of go there and they go through there. You have and it's a very diverse game. So you have an attack button. You have a button, the left and right triggers that you use to manipulate magic. So you'll see like objects, and you can freeze stuff, and you can levitate and throw stuff at crystals and explode them. And then she has a sword and shield, and then she has a bow. So depending on the situation, as you fight different enemies, you kind of just tailor to those abilities. And it's an action RPG, so it's not turn-based or anything like that. But when you do swap over to different abilities or weapons, it does kind of does that like that Final Fantasy VII, that slow down where it's still action happening, but it slows down enough to make your choices.
I like how it slows down.
You're not getting tore up. So, but outside of that, I think it does a pretty good balance. It's pretty interesting. So it's different. It's an action RPG, and the story seems interesting. So like I said, I haven't played that much, maybe about 40 minutes into it. I just fired it up last night, played a little bit before bed.
I'm watching a trailer. I see some ranged attacks, which is fun, like a bow. I see some Shadow of the Colossus style, like climbing on the boss, which looks cool.
Yeah. And you also see some Breath of the Wild in there because the climbing on the walls is the same thing. You have a stamina meter. You have a stamina meter for everything. So your attacks and all that stuff is all stamina based. So if you use that meter too quickly, then you're just gonna drag and you won't be able to do anything. So, but yeah, I think there's some. I see Shadow of the Colossus is a good example in there. Dragon's Dogma. I see some Dragon's Dogma in there, and I think a lot of Breath of the Wild in there as well. It's probably what I would get out of it. And its story is told like in like a visual novel. So you have like the images up there, and then it's fully voice acted, and they kind of break down the story that way. So I think this was one of those Private Division games before they shuttered Private Division. I think they resold the rights back to it, if I remember correctly, because they were originally supposed to release it. So
Yellow Brick Games. What else have they made?
I want to say it is. I think it's run by Mike Laidlaw, if I remember correctly.
Ring a bell.
And he used to work for Ubisoft, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like that. It's like I think this is why I like it so much, because I think he was a Mike Laidlaw. He's the director for Dragon Age, so that's why I like it so much. So he did the first 3 Dragon Age games.
It looks good. This looks like one of those solid AA games that we talk about, and it seems like a great content for Game Pass.
It plays a lot. It plays a lot like Dragon Age 2. That's what it reminds me of. That's why I think I was a huge fan of Dragon Age 2. A lot of people loved the first one, but I actually enjoyed the second one with the action RPG battle system. So,
are you playing on Xbox, or did you fire up Game Pass cloud streaming or anything? We have to ask now. It's like what's an Xbox? You're playing on Game Pass. That doesn't mean you're playing on Xbox.
I'm playing on the Series X console. I don't typically do too much cloud streaming. So not too often.
I've gotten better and better experiences with it, so I'm starting to think maybe instead of like sitting around and waiting for a download or queuing something up and walking away and never coming back to it, I give that cloud stuff more of a shot.
Yeah, I don't. At this point, I typically just remote in with my ROG and just play it all console from bed, and I don't usually do too much cloud on. Because I can remote in from other places that
Remote play.
have internet
And
access
play a
and
native
play it.
version. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my flavor of doing things. But yeah, that and the only one I'll mention real quick is a lot of stuff I just dabbled in and haven't played too much. Is I did play Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings.
Oh, that came out on
that came out last week.
Yeah. How is that?
It's it's interesting. It's a PS2 game, man. He's very Harrison Ford, and he's a Harrison Ford-esque model, but he's very expressive. So he's like his eyes are popping out, and
yeah.
And it's
I mean,
it's
you needed that on a CRT, right? You had to have those details come through.
So I mean, the game starts off. He's in, of course, Egypt-esque, like North Africa, looking for an like an idol-esque type of thing, and he runs into, of course, Nazis. So that's the first level, and he already encounters like spiders on a bridge, and there's little nods to everything in there. So that tutorial level, he's trying to get this idol in there. Runs into, I guess, whoever his arch nemesis archaeologist that happens to be not a Nazi, but he's working with the Nazis because their interests align, which happens in every.
It's like Belloc, right?
yeah,
Renee Belloc.
It's basically a Belloc. Yeah. I'm just using these guys, but I don't believe in what they're doing. So he runs into another one that's like that. But it gives you kind of like a brief overview. The battle system's pretty interesting. So I mean, you do have you can use the whip. There's different. You can grab characters. You can do a light punch, like a heavy punch. You can throw them into tables, throw them onto. It's very varied depending on the set pieces they put you in there during the battle system, right? So there's a lot of different ways you could dispatch of enemies on there, and there's like little hidden artifacts you have that you can find throughout the level. That's like Tomb Raider-esque, probably that. It's more linear in my opinion. It doesn't give you like that like Tomb Raider which was more, you have a level and it's open, you kind of just go around and
try to out how to get from point A to point
B. You'll discover stuff like, oh, I can climb up here. It didn't really do anything. I just found an item, but I could, there was something there. It's more linear, and but as I remember, I only played the first level, which was kind of like I think a tutorial one. Then it had like a Crimson Sky-esque battle system at the very end of it, because he gets in a plane and he's fighting through a cannon where he's shooting other planes, and he's like doing these little twists and turns.
Go on.
So it's interesting. So yeah, it's I completed the first level when he got out of there, and that was like, now I think I'm in Shanghai, and that's where I was like, I'll stop here for now.
Was Indy flying, or was it Jock with the Yankees hat?
It was an Indy flying, yeah. Because he had to go in there and he had to get on the vehicle. It's the whole Indiana Jones thing. He had to get on the vehicle and then jump on the wing, and then he just punches the guy and throws him around and gets in the plane.
Beautiful.
There's a whole thing on there. So,
fly? Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
land? No.
yeah. But yeah, outside of that, it's a good time. I mean, if you wanted to buy it, it's not required for the subscription service, and it's not really expensive. I think it's $5.99. So for that copy on there. So if it's something, it's not like $10 or $20. So if it's something you're like, I'll mess with and dabble it just to see.
I have this on Wii. Do I want to buy it on this program and support the backwards compatibility program, which I'm enjoying?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's up to you. So
I'm tempted.
Yeah, it's an option.
It's a good game. It's a solid game, right? Like it's not the Great Circle, but it's a solid Indiana Jones video game.
I think we talked about this last time, right? I think it was made by A2M, right? I think we talked about this. It seems vaguely familiar. So I think
that does not check out.
Or maybe I just saw it when I booted up the game, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember A2M.
Does the PS2 one also have Fate of Atlantis included?
It does not. I think that was a Wii exclusive.
Really?
So. Yeah.
No, I'm extra curious.
Yeah, it does not. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's interesting. So it's like it's no, Great Circle or anything like that. But
it's expensive on PS2. I'm not paying $40 for.
I would say pay the $6 a plate on the Wii before you decide to invest that. and that. But that's it for me. Too much time. Yeah. A good bit in here. I'll pass it off over to Brant. So,
as far as me mean, I did play
Legend of Dragoon update. Give it to us, Brant.
I played some Halo with you gentlemen.
Yes.
And other than that, I have not really had time to play a whole lot else. I've got some games acquired or a game acquired, and I may have dabbled in it for, I don't know, an hour or so. This is the Famicom disc version of Super Mario 2. This is Super Mario The Lost Levels, as we received them over here. And
Brant, I was told that's not what's on that cartridge.
And when I got it, it clearly labels side A. I talked about last week how there's a side A and side B. Side A matches, and you can clearly see that it's, Super Mario and everything, but on the back, I was like, okay, so what's this? It's...
So how did they do that? Did they give them a sticker when they copied the ROM over too?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a blank side and they copied that to this side.
At one of those kiosk machines they had.
They got a sticker or
that's what it looks like, right? Because your Mario has a sticker on the other side, right?
Yes, it does. And
so you pop that in. What was
as
it?
I'm looking at the sticker's in the area for the sticker, but it's not, centered. It's kind of lopsided a little bit. But for those who don't speak Japanese and myself, I was able to look up, and that says Pro Resu. Because of course, they're not going to say the full thing. It is Pro Wrestling is amazing. Which we got 2 years ago now on the Nintendo Switch Online service. And so, yeah, I played around with the Super Mario 2, played through the first couple levels before hitting a wall, and I was like, okay. And then
It's the one with the purple mushrooms, right? They shrink you or kill you. Yeah. And the wind, like wind physics.
So I flipped it over and popped that in. I'm like, what is this? And then as soon as it started, and it has that character select screen with the pink guy with the big star on his face, I'm like, oh shit, it's pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And, so
what a fun discovery.
Messing around with that, and it's such a hectic game, and it's so simple and so fun.
Pro wrestling's good stuff.
And it's one of those things where it's got English all over the game, really. So you can play it no problem. But it's hilarious when you win, and it says, "A winner is you."
A winner is you. Meme infamy, right?
So I had joked about, like, did I just accidentally get the best Famicom game with Super Mario 2 and Pro Wrestling?
That's
so
not a bad combo.
No, it was a happy accident, and I was so happy to receive it. That
wasn't in the listing, I'm assuming. That was a total shock that was on the B side. Yeah.
And I did have to show my son, because y'all had talked about Pro Wrestling. I'm like, I'm gonna have to check this out, and me and him had did it on the Nintendo Online.
It's good.
So I showed him the disc.
Shocked.
I showed him the disc. I was like, what do you think that is? And he's like, I don't know. So I popped it in. I'm like, look at this title. Can you tell yet? He's, no, what is it? What the heck is it? And then hit play, and he goes, oh, it's that Pro Wrestling.
Oh, hell yeah.
Handed him second controller, and
Let's
we
go.
went back and forth for a while. Running across and dashing into the ropes and running at each other and head-on collisions, and
awesome.
It's a manic game.
It is.
If you have not played it, please go on to your Nintendo Switch Online and at least try Pro Wrestling. You will be entertained for sure.
It must have.
It is a fun, entertaining game. Other than that, yeah, I really just haven't had time to get into anything else at the moment.
I forgot. I always seem to remember something as you guys go through stuff. I'm still playing Resistance 3 on stream, so any Resistance 3 I've played is available on YouTube to play back. And I think I've done 4 blocks. I think we're through like 4 parts. And I thumbed through the guide, and it looks like I'm about halfway through Resistance 3. and it is top tier resistance. Please God, give us more resistance. I hope that trademark is accurate. Just like the Skies of Arcadia trademark, which is on GOG on their list. It's ramping up the top of the list. All right, you guys got anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Last thing I'll mention is I talked about the developer artificial mind and matter is what A2M is what they're called. So briefly here we'll go over it. So one of the first games they made was in 1997, which was a game called Jersey Devil.
Oh, Jersey Devil on PS1.
I've heard Jersey Devil.
Yeah, I found that at Goodwill years ago, back when Goodwill had games.
They made various licensed games also, like Transformers Dark of the Moon and other stuff like that. They renamed themselves. I'm not going to be here all night about it. So they also made Dante's Inferno for PSP.
Oh.
They've done like a lot of...
that's a good version of Dante's Inferno I've read.
Yeah. So they renamed themselves as Behavior Interactive, and any guess from the you gentlemen about what is their biggest game right now that they pretty much only make now?
Behavior Interactive? Is that the Hello Neighbor people? Apparently not, by the look on your face.
Close. I was thinking about it. They also made Halo Wars Definitive Edition for Xbox One and PC. But
they ported that after Ensemble closed? I think I just got that on Steam because it went back up in price. It was $5 on Steam, and next time I went back in there, it was $20. I was like, nope.
It's a pretty popular game.
Behavior?
Right,
is that the Five Nights at Freddy's people? It's not in our wheelhouse, I don't think. Have we played a Behavior game?
It's something you die by daylight.
Oh, I see where you went with that.
Nice.
See where you went with that.
So that is their moneymaker right now, is Dead by Daylight, and that's all.
Everybody's looking for one of those, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy. And that...
But yeah, they went from making Jersey Devil and Staff of Kings to Dead by Daylight.
Interesting. I wonder if they did the PS2, PSP, and Wii versions of that Staff of Kings, or if they just did like the PS2 one.
Staff of Kings, when did that come out? 2000...
I would say 9 or 10 probably.
2009, DS, Wii, PS2. They made all of them. They made all of them but the PSP version, which was made by Maze Entertainment.
Yeah, Staff of Kings was announced and released in that window of... Remember when we saw that Next Generation Indiana Jones game where he's like fighting on top of the San Francisco trolley car and stuff? Like we were supposed to get that next gen indie game, and then Staff of Kings is what comes out for the older stuff, and people are like, no.
So Richard, this is what your part right here that you always enjoy about video games. The Wii version of the game includes an exclusive co-op story mode with
his dad,
Indiana and Henry Jones Sr., and an unlockable version of the classic point-and-click adventure Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, which is also set in 1939. That is only on the Wii version. On the other console versions, you have Big Head mode, which included Henry Jones Sr., Tuxedo Indy, and Han Solo from Star Wars.
Boo. The Wii one is the way to go. We found that at a GameStop many years ago. You were like, you need to grab this. You need to pick it up. No, I watched a video of the Wii one where he was rafting with Henry Jones Sr. They were playing the co-op mode, and they were both rafting. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's like the new Indiana Jones, where I would just like another adventure with Henry Jones Sr. Just another tale with him in it is worthy. Like we got Marcus Brody.
But to answer your questions, they made a whole bunch of stuff. They made Tetris for the PSP.
PSP Tetris?
Yeah.
What was that one called? I don't think I have a Tetris for PSP. I remember like Gunpei and those, but I don't remember a Tetris for PSP.
They also made a Mercenary 2 World in Flames for PS2.
Oh, they did the last gen port for those? Well, it only came on PS2. It didn't come out for Wii or Xbox.
Yeah. No, I think that was a PS3 one.
What, Mercenaries?
No, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, so they would have done... There was only one last gen port, which would have been the PS2 one. It didn't come out for Xbox or Wii.
No, you're right. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else. And then they did a whole bunch of Nickelodeon and Disney shows like High School Musical, Drake and Josh, and Channing.
Bangers.
The Sims 2, Sweet Life with Zack and Cody, Monster House, Ed, Edd and Eddy.
My kids are watching
I'm looking
the
at it.
Jonas show. I have a lot of Jonas Brothers going on in the background, usually when I'm reading or something in the evening.
And in the recent years, it's mostly outside of just licensed games. It's been Dead by Daylight. That's the only thing they made with recently. Apparently they made the Silent Hill Ascension that came out on PC, iOS, and Android. So that just recently came out.
Oh, the story based one, like
Choose Your Own Adventure. Yeah.
I don't see a Tetris for PSP. I wonder if that was like a downloadable mini.
It was PSN on
PSN. That's exactly what it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a Tetris. My mind was blown on that one.
That's it. I mean, they also made that. According to this, they made the Tetris for PSN for PS3 as well. They also made Brandt's Doritos Crash Course for 360.
Yeah.
That was an easy achievement thing, right? Couldn't you like farm that one for achievements? Was that the one with the dinosaur?
Yes, I think no.
Also,
I think that's the Wipeout. It
was like Wipeout.
Oh,
yeah.
That doesn't sound horrible.
Yeah, I think it's just done with your avatars that you made.
I got
But that's it.
I got the Toyota Yaris game that was like the Sonic 2 bonus levels where it was like a pipe, sliding down a pipe in 3D mode. Toyota Yaris.
They made a lot of shit, and then they also made your Disney Move for PS2 iToy. They bounce around a lot.
There's a Disney game for iToy?
Disney Move, PS2 iToy, as I said, the platform.
What?
Right
I didn't know it was a Disney iToy game. That guy I watch on YouTube that goes after Japanese thrift shops and stuff. He found an iToy complete in the box for like $3. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up. I don't see it right off the rip. All right, is that it for us? We getting out of here? 10 o'clock?
That's it.
Blaze.
And I guess for the 4 people watching this, if they're curious, it looks like Disney Move for iToy was I only see European listings.
Perfect.
So.
PAL territories. Mod your PS2. You have to mod your iToy to play import games. Is it a 50 hertz iToy? You have to get a specific iToy to play back. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us this week. Thank you for joining us this week. We will catch you next week. Bye.
See you.
Adios.